Welcome to Ignite Intimacy, a podcast exploring intimacy, romantic relationships, sexuality, and everything that relates to these hot topics. We're going in. Are you ready? This is your host, Laura Aisha. Let's do this. Hello, Ignite Intimacy community. It is Miss Laura Aisha here for another juicy episode of the Ignite Intimacy podcast, and I am thrilled to be here today. Our guest is someone that I met in a leadership program that I'm in right now. It's a 7-month leadership program, and when this woman got on the mic to share in the beginning of the program and shared that she has this YouTube channel she started called GlamourPuss MD, I was like, oh yeah, okay, we have some stuff in common and we need to get her on the podcast. So I welcome Olivia Richman to the show. What is happening, Olivia?
Oh my God. Thanks, Laura.
It's so great to be here with you.
Oh my God. It's so good to be on your show. I'm loving this. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, okay. So you're powerhouse. Like, I have no idea how you're doing, because this leadership program we're in is very time intensive. And not only that, but it is like basically created to crack open your identity and it gets into the nitty gritty. So I could read your bio, but like, talk to us a little bit about what you've got going on in your world right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Olivia, and like Laura said, I have a YouTube channel, GlamourPuss MD, and there's an MD there because I'm in medical school, and I'm in my 3rd year of medical school. I'll be graduating in a year from now. And so what I realized while being in medical school and also having a bunch of younger girl cousins and male cousins as well, I realized that teenagers don't have the access that they need to sexual education, specifically comprehensive sex education. And a lot of the topics out there are taboo. It's shameful to talk about the human body. And if we can't talk about the human body, then how can we talk about the diseases that go with the human body?
Yeah, or like make conscious choices about who we want to actually touch our bodies and, you know, be sexual with.
Exactly. Right. And then going off of that, Laura, if we can't talk about our bodies, then how can we talk about sexual assault or harassment if it ever happens to us? You know, it's such a taboo topic to even say the word vagina that if we can't say the word, then how can we say, hey, I was touched on my vagina inappropriately, you know, at any age, as a child or as a teenager or an adult. Yeah. So that's what my channel focuses on. It focuses on destigmatizing the language used around the anatomy. And then also it starts to incorporate how we can become comfortable talking about sexual assault, harassment, consent, masturbation, a whole slew of ideas.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's so interesting because what came to me while you were speaking is how my twin sister and I, like, our mom had all these other words for vagina and how uncomfortable I felt saying the word vagina, like literally until, I don't know, my mid-30s, maybe. And, you know, and I'm still more comfortable using like pussy. I'd much rather use the word pussy than vagina. Vagina feels so medical, and it's also it's not really medically appropriate, right? Like there's the vulva and then there's like the vagina, like, you know what I mean? So I know I know you've got an episode about this, so we're going to talk about that a little bit, because it's like your highest, you know, you've gotten the most views on this episode. So anyways, let's talk from just like terminology and what it actually is.
Yeah, most people use the word vagina instead of the word vulva. So like
Mm-hmm.
vulva is the outside of the female genitalia. So that includes the labia majora, labia minora. And so that all the outside area would actually be your vulva. That's not actually your vagina. And so a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people use the term vagina as this umbrella term for the female genitalia. But really the vagina is just the vaginal canal. And, you know, it's not the same as the vulva, but people use it interchangeably.
Yeah. Okay. And so you have this episode. So first of all, tell us, how did you start GlamourPuss MD? What was the inspiration to launch this YouTube channel?
Okay. So I have a lot of younger cousins. I come from a Cuban family. So my mother's Cuban. And so I have a lot of younger cousins below me, ages 13 to 23 about. And over the years, they've just always been asking me questions about sex or, you know, consent or how to put in a tampon, everything under the sun. And I was like, why do my teenage cousins know about this stuff? Like they go to good schools, they're in good education systems, but this information is not at their fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking, if other people in the country or even in the world, teenagers, don't have a source to go for this information, if they don't have a mother or a sister or a cousin that is knowledgeable on this topic, where do they learn it? Especially in schools where it's abstinence only. Where do these teenagers learn this information?
It's called pornography.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and pornography isn't that accurate.
Well, it's like, yeah, it's not necessarily like proper representation of, you know, sex and sexuality. It is certainly representation of it. It's just that that's not how it's all looks or it's all done, or, you know, it's like, not to mention that you get a different sensation when watching pornography as you do when you're actually physically with another human being.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So yeah, so where do they get this terminology from? If porn is like one of the main ways, I mean, I know like when I was 12 or 13, my sister and I, we learned more about our anatomy from a friend of ours than we did from our mom, you know? And back then, that was before the internet. So there wasn't really much, you know, much to go on. And the first time that I ever saw anything sexual in nature was finding my friend's father's Hustler magazines, which was like super hardcore. And I was actually like completely shocked. I just remember thinking, oh my God, okay.
Yeah. And I don't know, teenagers now have so much access on the internet. So I feel like they were much more exposed than we were. But for example, I think I had an opposite upbringing than you. So as you know, as you explained, but my mom's a doctor, and what she did with my sister and I is I was 3 years old and my sister was 4 years old. And my mom, because the three of us would take showers together. And when we would get out of the shower, my mom, we would dry off and then we would lie down next to this big full-length mirror. And my mom, being very comfortable with the anatomy and seeing it just as body parts and terminology, we would sit down, we would spread our legs, and I was 3 and my sister was 4 years old, and she would go through the entire anatomy of our vulva vaginal area with us. And she would say, "This is the labia majora." And then she would quiz us, "What's this, Olivia?" And I'd be like, "The labia majora. And she'd say, "No, majora, it's majora."
In Spanish or in English?
It was in English. So I knew the whole anatomy of my vagina at 3 years old. I might not have said it correctly, but I learned, and I knew where babies come from. I knew that they were not in the stomach. I knew that they were in the uterus. And I corrected all my friends in kindergarten, you know, about where babies came from. I was like, absolutely not. They live in the uterus. They do not live in the stomach. That is where your food goes. And so,
their parents must have loved you.
right. I don't think I went into much more detail than that, but I definitely remember correcting a child because they said that the baby was in the stomach. But it's interesting because, even now I knew a girl I went to college with, and she was pregnant after college, age like 29, and she didn't know her baby was in her uterus.
Wow.
And she just like was very unclear about it all and didn't really ask, and thought that the foods that she ate affected her baby because her baby was in her stomach. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like your stomach or your uterus? And she was like, what do you mean? I'm talking about my stomach. My baby's in my stomach. And I was like, no, that's not accurate. And then I went through the whole diagram, and it was just like this jaw-dropping experience for her, because if you don't have a figure, that another individual, like a mentor or somebody teaching you about this, you're not learning. If you don't have access to the internet, our generation didn't. I'm 29. So when I was little, I didn't have access to the internet until my, I guess, teenage years. And then if you were in a school system that taught abstinence only programs, I guess it makes sense why you don't have that information, or why you're confused or don't really understand where your babies come from, or even about your body. It makes sense.
Yep. And so this was the inspiration that guided you to start GlamourPuss MD on YouTube.
Yes, this is where it came from. Just my mom being so open with me, and my cousins not having this information at their fingertips. And so I want to provide the rest of the world with this information. I'm going to be reproducing my videos in Spanish as well, so that can reach Central, South America, Caribbean, Spain. That would be fantastic. So that's the plan.
Great. Okay. So bringing it back to the vagina and the vulva, your video, "What does the external female genitalia look like?" has over 10,000 views. So
it's over 11,000 now, actually.
Amazing. So talk to us a little bit about, because I know we chatted about this before we pressed record, and you were surprised by, who's actually watching that video. And then what kind of just, tipped you off to say, like, I'm going to do this particular video?
What tipped me off to make this video is actually started with porn. So with porn, I think it's Rashida Jones has Netflix documentary on how pornography is the only source of information to teach adolescents about sex, real live sex and how it's done. You and I were talking about this earlier as well. And so I thought, wait a second, I would love to give adolescents a semi-real live way of learning about the vagina. And so this is going to be with any any teenager that sleeps with women, or even a woman who's exploring her own body. And so what I did is I made a clay model of the vagina and painted it, and then put it in between my legs. And I was like, this is what the vagina looks like. And I went through each part of the anatomy exactly how my mother did with me when I was little. And when I looked, after it came out 9 months ago, and I have 11,000 views on it. And the rest of my videos are anywhere between 500 to 1,000, maybe 4,000, but this is definitely the most. And so when I looked at the analytics of this video, I think it was about 95% of the people watching this video are men ages 13 to 26. And so even though porn is in high demand and teenagers, adults alike love to watch it, I really do believe that there's a want for knowledge about sex outside the scope of pornography, and that teenagers are curious. They want to know. They want to know what is what.
Yeah.
They just want to know the pornography aspect of it. They really are curious about the knowledge.
Totally. Well, there's so much happening with your body as a teen, and it's like, and I mean, I remember when I was, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11, I started to feel turned on by women in bikinis on television, and I felt so wrong about that, and I was terrified. And I didn't know who to talk to about it. Finally, after like months of agonizing over it, I opened up to my twin sister about it. And I don't remember exactly what she said at that time, but yeah, it was like this really, really agonizing experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I remember the same thing. And I remember feeling weird or wrong about it. If there was, I don't know, there's like cable TV or something had like porn on at late night. And I was like probably like 13 or 14, like watching this. This is so bad. This is so wrong, but I like it. So I'm going to keep it on. I had no idea what was going on though. I mean, I just knew that I liked it, but also it felt wrong, which is so funny because like, that's what the taboo is with all of this. Like, why is sex so wrong and bad? Why do we have to treat it as something shameful or something to be embarrassed about? That's just one of the main reasons that I created the whole YouTube channel is I want to destigmatize everything that might feel wrong to people and really show them that it's not wrong. It's not bad. This is so normal and natural.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talking about wrong and bad and like, feeling challenged by having conversations about sex and sexuality. Let's talk about the videos that you've done on STIs and HIV, HPV, herpes, because I mean, you want to talk about stigmas and, like this idea that, if you have an STD, man, like something's really wrong with you, and just bring it into reality.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that is a really big one. And I'm getting into that in upcoming episodes of how stigmatized having those STIs and herpes and HIV is. And I think it's so stigmatized because it's not well known. It's not, it's very unclear. People are scared of it because they don't have enough knowledge about it.
Well, and people don't talk about it. It's like, people hide it. They don't talk about it. They don't disclose because they're afraid of being rejected. So I have herpes and okay, so I came out on a podcast, episode 16, which is one of our most listened to podcast episodes with Adriel Dale. He has a whole world that he's created to support people who have herpes. And it's all about making disclosure sexy. And let me tell you, it is powerful because the thing is that, first of all, people don't have the information. And like you say, like, oh, I have HPV or I have herpes. Do you know how many people have that in the world? There are so many people. And the thing about it is that it's not something that everyone has a reaction to. So you could be carrying it for years and never have ever had an outbreak, and you're just passing it to people, And so it's like this whole thing. And then do you know what the current stats are on HPV? Isn't it some ridiculous, like, high amount of adults in America?
Yeah, it's like something incredibly high and prevalent and common. And I don't know the stats on it. I know more with the herpes, with genital herpes stats, at least. And actually, it's funny. I just did a podcast with Courtney Bream. He has a podcast, Something Positive for Positive People.
Cool.
Or Something Positive for People Who Are Positive. And me and him talked about herpes as well on the podcast. And I just did an episode with Carmelia Ray, and we talked about herpes as well on that episode, which comes out in 2 days. And we were just talking about, like, first of all, herpes doesn't kill you. Like, herpes doesn't do anything to you. It's not, it's not something like syphilis. If you have syphilis and you don't get it treated and you let it go on for many, many years, you could die from syphilis.
Yeah. Didn't Al Capone die from syphilis?
Oh, I heard about that, but I'm not sure. I don't know for sure.
It could be urban myth, but like you can die from syphilis. Okay.
Yeah, right. But herpes is it's just a virus. I look at it like a common cold. You get colds all the
Mm,
time, and that's a virus that likes to live in your lungs. And herpes is a virus that likes to live in your genitals. It really, what it is, it's just they're two different types of viruses, and they look a little bit different, and they just have an affinity for different parts of your body. So
mm-hmm.
just because that the herpes virus lives on your genitals, then like bam, there it is, stigmatized. But
Yeah.
since the common cold virus lives in your, in the lung area, then oh, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But since we are so sensitive to the topic of sex in our culture and our society, then of course herpes is going to be something that's stigmatized because it has to do with your genitals. And like, God forbid we talk about the genitals.
Well, and also, so there's herpes 1 and herpes 2, right? So
Yeah.
herpes 1 is when you get cold sores on your lips, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the stats are, but I sure know that a lot of humans get cold sores on their lips.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's the herpes that I have. I have herpes on my mouth, and I've had it since I was little. And it's actually, you could actually have herpes 1 or 2 on your mouth, and you could actually have herpes 1 or 2 on your genitals. It doesn't really matter. It's herpes. And what they're just realizing is that they 1 and 2 are interchangeable. So
and what does that mean?
that means that if, I have herpes 1 on my mouth and I'm having an outbreak, let's say, and I have oral sex with somebody, I can give let's say it's herpes 1, type 1, it's called. I could give my type 1 to somebody's genitals. So
Okay.
somebody can have type 1 on their genitals. Really, it doesn't matter much whether it's type 1 or type 2. It's just, I think what the important thing is to let your partner know if you have it or if you're having an outbreak, so they can deal with it how they want to deal with it.
Yeah. Yep. And so that conversation, I've definitely been more confident in that conversation over the years. However, that can be sensitive, like, because that is, that's one of the challenges of carrying an STI or an STD. And that's why, if you're clean, like, first of all, like, get tested regularly. Like, at least, I would say, like, at least once a quarter if you're sexually active, and definitely twice a year. I recommend that because it's just good to know. It's good to be in the know, and then also, yeah, just like, it's one thing, it's a big deal to disclose to someone because you don't know how that person is going to react. And like, everyone, I mean, I have had just across the board. I've had like from like, well, I'm still going to eat your pussy
Mhm.
to like total rejection. Like, just like total, like, no returning calls, like no interest whatsoever of even like hanging out.
Mhm.
And so everyone's got their own relationship to illness and disease and, the body and skin on skin contact. Everybody's got their own relationship to that. So, and also, there are different schools of thought. And I just err on the side of like, it's best to disclose. Like,
Yeah.
it's best to disclose. Like, because God is forbid, something happens and then you have to clean it up afterwards and be like,
Right.
well, actually, I have this and I didn't tell you, and blah blah blah, and it becomes a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. You're right. You might as well just open it up now because I don't know, I think sex is sexier actually when you're open and honest. If you're
Mm,
hiding something, then you're just not in your most authentic, raw state of being. And I'm most comfortable with somebody else, especially when I'm open and authentic with them.
yeah. And so, do you keep the comments open on your videos on YouTube?
Yeah. People can openly comment on my videos on YouTube.
And do you have any comments on certain videos that really stayed with you or, stand out to you?
That's a great question, but I do not have any yet. I had a few trollers here and there, and I just hit them with so much love. I'm just like, thank you so much for commenting. Thank you so much for stating your opinion. I really appreciate it. Keep watching, sort of thing. But nothing that stood out to me, nothing that's, terrible or horrible. It's been okay so far.
That's great. Okay. And so you go into some other areas as well, like what's inside a rape kit.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite episodes. Yeah. So I was working in the ER at a hospital in Brooklyn, and I was just thinking, I don't even know what's inside a rape kit. And so I thankfully have never been assaulted before, but if I ever were to be assaulted and then knew that I had to go to the hospital, I thought, wait, what are they going to do to me at the hospital? I just went through an incredibly traumatic experience, and now I have to go to the hospital to get like tested and probed. Like, what happens? And so I got a rape kit from the ER, and I went through it, and I just thought, this is stuff that women and men should know, so they're not scared about going to the ER to get a rape kit tested on them.
Yeah. Well, and also so that, like there are things that you're not supposed to, like shower or, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. You're not supposed to shower. You're not supposed to, brush your teeth, change your underwear. If you do change your underwear, make sure to bring the underwear with you. All of the do's and don'ts are all in the video, but there are a few do's and don'ts.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll have links to what does the external female genitalia look like, and then also the rape kit video in the show notes, as well as, we'll also have a link as well to GlamourPuss MD on YouTube. Yeah. And okay, so another one that I thought is really great for our younger females, is the video on how to put in a tampon.
Yeah.
Because that can be a real journey.
Seriously,
for young women with nobody telling you how to do it. It's like
they don't teach that in school.
The diagrams, come on,
Oh gosh. I know. And so I took the vagina, the clay model of the vagina that I made. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to show people how to put in a tampon now. Because first, okay, like I said, they don't teach this in school. And that's really what got me. I was like, this is 101 education for preteens and teens. And it's not being taught in our education system. Like, that's crazy to me. It's just like, well, go figure it out on your own, or let's hope you have a good mentor that can teach you. Good luck.
It's like, let's just ignore that we all have genitalia, literally, all of us.
Right. Let's just ignore the fact that women get periods, and that's what creates life, and this is why our world goes round and round. But let's not talk about, the beauty of life. And
oh my gosh.
And so also when I was a teenager, my other teenage cousin, she had no idea how to put in a tampon, and was too embarrassed to ask her mom. And so I just went through it with her step by step. I put a tampon in, she was just mirroring me. She put it in at the same time. We were just mirroring one another, and that's how she learned how to put in a tampon. But again, not everybody has that.
Oh my gosh. I'd say most people don't, because I'm just wow, that you were that comfortable. I have always felt like I was fairly sexually expressed and open, and I wasn't. I realize now I had so much shame about my body, and I certainly was not comfortable, even with my twin sister, So I'm just so thankful that you exist, and that, for everyone whose lives you've touched and helped to just sort of normalize the human body, and is amazing.
Thank you. Thanks. I really hope these videos continue to grow, just because that is my main mission. My mission is to normalize these topics so that people don't feel ashamed about their bodies, and that they could openly express and love themselves. That's my main mission.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and so you basically were with your friend, and she just mirrored you.
My cousin.
Or your cousin, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she just mirrored me, and that's how she learned how to put in a tampon. I totally forgot about that experience. And when I started making these videos, she was like, Olivia, you did this. Don't you remember that? And I was like, oh my God, I forgot.
That's awesome. Well, Olivia, you are such a gift to the world. I'm so excited that you are in med school, that you are going to be official bona fide MD. That is so great. Do you know what area of focus you want to go into?
Yes, I want to go into pediatrics and then specialize in adolescent health because adolescents are our future.
Yes.
So I want to educate them.
Oh my gosh. Well, give thanks. I'm so grateful that we had a chance to connect in and record this episode. It'll be cool to continue jamming on some different topics and perhaps at some point, we can do a GlamourPuss MD episode on some fun stuff, for the kids and the adults, because I'm sure there are some adults watching GlamourPuss MD,
Oh, there are.
So where can people find you online?
So my YouTube channel is GlamourPuss MD, GlamourPuss MD. And I'm on Instagram under GlamourPuss MD and Facebook as well. And on Snapchat, all under GlamourPuss MD.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So we'll have those links in the show notes. You heard it here, Ignite Intimacy. Get your booty over to YouTube. Check out some of Olivia's videos, GlamourPuss MD on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and then also Twitter and glamourpussmd.com. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, Olivia. And yeah, we're here to spread the goodness about human bodies, sexuality, and all of the things that go along with our genitalia and our good vibes and our love.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Ignite Intimacy community, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode, and definitely check out Olivia. I already know some of you are already on YouTube right now. So yeah, check her out and come again. Join us for future conversations. We're so blessed and grateful to have you. You frickin' are amazing. You rock. We wouldn't be here without you. Ignite Intimacy has now officially surpassed 20,000 downloads, which is a huge milestone for us. Super stoked on that. Thank you so much for listening and sharing, and to all of our amazing guests. And yeah, stay blessed and ciao for now. Thanks for tuning in to another conversation on the Ignite Intimacy podcast hotline. We love that you choose to spend your time with us. Check us out at igniteintimacy.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review and a rating. It helps more people know about us. We love to hear from you. You can email us with questions, comments, or suggestions to hello@igniteintimacy.com. And tell your friends. Music was arranged by Jason Pfaff and Mike Corey, and this podcast is produced by yours truly, Laura Aisha. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, let your light shine bright and ignite your intimacy.